Today's video, we're going to talk about bankruptcy, breakdown, breakup, and why it may be just the best thing that ever happened to you, because it was to me. It's funny now, I've had buddies that are super talented that have recently had businesses go under, relationships go under, and everyone's kind of going to them, oh my God, I hope you're okay. And I kind of sit there and be like, give us a hug, man. Like, this isn't you. Because the way I really see these things is nothing is in the way. It's all on the way to bigger and better things. And having lived it, I really do believe and have seen that. What happened to me was I had a lot of success in my early 20s, mid-20s. I was driving around in a Ferrari, multi-million-dollar house, the picturesque girlfriend, the dogs, had that. Everything just seemed to be going right for me, multiple businesses, positive media, doing really well in the fitness industry, and I thought I was untouchable. And literally looking back, it's quite funny. I remember about being 26, and let's say I was making 600k profit. I'm doing my maths and going, all right, well, next year means 1.2 because the year before that was 50% more double the growth. That's how it works, right? With just no concept in my mind that you could ever not just go on that trajectory. Anyway, what I believe happened to me, and well, I guess at the time when I was going under, I was a massive victim. I was like, why is the universe doing this to me? I'm a good guy. I've done pretty good products. I don't do anything wrong by anyone. Why is this happening to me? And so many things just poor happened to me. Like I joke, I was the only person to lose money on property in that era because my house was at the top of the mountain and it kept failing building and pests because the pool and the house were splitting down the mountain. You had no access to the house on the mountainside. So I lost a lot of money on that house, let's just say that nicely, and I just felt massive victimhood to that as well. But what's beautiful about this experience is I had ventured off my path, and the universe has an amazing way of putting you back on your spiritual path, to your purpose, to your dharma, and sometimes in chaotic ways that we don't like. But I had that success early, being in health, wellness, mindset, and then as my ego got involved in that just overconsumptive nature, I wanted it all. I'm launching multiple businesses, all crazy industries that I had no experience in, and they appeared to get off to great starts. And then just lots of things happen in those economies or in those industries. Landscapes changed. The original business I made a lot of money into made a lot of changes that was out of my control. And I just felt in a 4-year period, really it dragged on 4 years, maybe 3, everything collapsed. And to have that much success early and then just every week over that long was one of the most exhausting periods of my life. And I definitely went into what in spiritual terms we'd call an ego death, a dark night of the soul, where I'd just given up on life. In a sense, I had no meaning, had no purpose. I would never label myself as depressed, but I was kind of hoping I'd get wiped out by a truck, if I'm really honest. And I actually sat there in the car screaming, praying for that to happen, which is funny now to look back on, because this was divinely provided, in my opinion, to bring me back to path, to who I really am. I had to rediscover my true nature because I'd gone off path so far from who I am, what I'm here to do. And it took me to lose the businesses, bankruptcy, left, right, and center, relationship breakdown. I was out of health and fitness. Basically went 6 months without really training and just drinking a lot and hit rock bottom. And the beautiful thing about rock bottom, as so many say, is this is when you have to rediscover. You have to, that side of you that went in excess and went off path has to die. And I had to ask myself, who am I? And luckily what got me out of this hole, I had to move back with mum and dad. I'd gone from driving Ferrari, the big house, the biggest house on the street type mentality, to living with mum and dad. No car, didn't even have a mobile phone plan, gone. There was no secret savings in a hole in the ground. I was gone, down, under, 20 foot under. And the beautiful thing about this was I was so down, I had to go back. And luckily I'd done enough self-development in the past, even though I was not in a great state of mind, physically, energetically, spiritually. I'd done enough to just 1% of me was going, this might be meant to be. This may be divine. And that was only a very small part of me at that stage, because I was very down, very depressed. and just lost all meaning for life, which is what happens in the dark night of the soul. My mentality was, I've lived the best life. I've traveled the world many times over. I feel like I've squeezed many lifetimes in one. I'm done. I don't want to make money anymore. I don't want to build a business. I've got no purpose here. I'm out. Like, someone wiped me out. That was really my mentality. And obviously, I was never labeling myself as depressed. I wasn't going to do anything because I wouldn't do that to my parents. And then I had to start asking questions. Who am I? What are my values? What do I want to do? What am I good at? What am I put here for? And I started going back over these different exercises. I did the DeMartini values identification process. Figured out, hey, even though I'm off path, my passion and value is still health, mindset, psychology, wellness, all these things. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Then I started going over my character, my personality. Who did I want to be? Who have I lost touch of, that true me before I'd been beaten by society? Who was I? And then, I had a lot of pressure from family, partner, friends saying, dude, you got to go back and get a job. You got to go back. Your business career is done, at least for the foreseeable future. Go back, get a job, start counting reps at your local gym floor, like that. And I was getting a lot of pressure, and I just knew deep down that wasn't my path. It wasn't me. It wasn't my skills, and the real me wouldn't go back to. Not there's anything wrong with working a job at all. In fact, I encourage it for most people. But I knew I had that deep down desire, that spark, that creative spirit, something that just had to be channeled direction. And fortunately, I didn't listen to them. And as I started to get back into my health practices, breath, spirituality, mindset, COVID hit. The start of COVID hit, which was magical because I got to just double down. And I was just like a study machine, did certifications, courses on top of what I'd already done. And it all just started to channel and make sense. And as I started practicing what I was learning and kind of blending it all together, within sort of 40 days of that, I felt superhuman again. I had my energy back, my life back, my vigor, started to get better shape, started moving better than maybe I did even in my early 20s, and I was re-sparked. So the message in all this is, you may be having a breakdown, a breakup, whatever it may be, and I think it might be the best thing for you. It might be a time to go inward. Fortunately, after that period, the breakups kind of happened, during this process. And what was great about the breakup is we were super in love, like crazily in love, super dependent on each other, like hung out 24/7, best friends. But our values, this girl was super successful at a young age as well, and she was kind of moving on to that, that more balanced, relaxed stage of her life where I felt like I was 18 again, and probably acted at times. And so I was like, our values, and when I've been studying values, were definitely drifting away. But what was magical about this is I actually saw a medium at the time, and she's like, you need a time of going inward. You don't go dating anyone, no relationships, go inward. And I could feel that, and I went on this period where when you go out of a relationship and you're going, you're looking you go to the nice beach, and you're like, oh, I've got no one to share it with. And then I started questioning, like, why do you need another individual to share it? Can't you experience great moments by yourself? And that was a really weird phase to go through, and then you find the bliss, and then you start to find joy in the self, in silence, in peace, your own company, connection with nature, connection with spirit, connecting with more other people, and most importantly, digging deep and really discovering who you are, deep in meditation, doing these strategies of finding your true nature, your values, your traits, building your identity. And this was a process I did over several months, which is now, in my opinion, our best product that we sell here at Flow, is being able to take people through the same journey I embarked on. So when I see people suffering, I maybe come across very, very unsympathetic or lack of empathy, but it's not that I don't empathize, it's because I'm excited about what can come. Break equals the breakthrough. The Big Bang, spiritual terms, was created after chaos. Chaos precedes order. So I think sometimes we get a bit too down and we don't see, we're not seeing the divinity, the beauty in the scenario. We're stuck in it going, oh my God, my whole life is over. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Everyone's out to get me. Life's out to get me. God hates me. Universe is just, I'm cursed. When actually, and it's funny, I look back on my life and the worst things I thought happened to me with relationships, breakdowns, breakups, whatever it may be, they were the best things that ever happened to me because it helped me turn a corner. And I actually worry now. I'm like, imagine if I hadn't had that disaster and I just kept going off on the wrong track for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So I actually sit there now and go, holy jet. I'm so grateful that this universe ended that for me, because I was on a path that I might not have been smart enough, wise enough, strong enough to pull out of that myself, or maybe I wasted 20 years. So I believe that the suffering I went through was maybe a little extreme. I don't think anyone needs to suffer. To go 3 years with declining businesses with large debts, you're drinking yourself to sleep some nights, you're waking up drenched in sweat. You don't want to wake up in the morning and face what emails are coming. And I definitely, and the idea of this video is hopefully you don't need to go to those extremes to get on path. But if there's a message for this video, it is embrace the dark side, embrace chaos, break down. You can reinvent yourself. And one of my favorite quotes growing up was Chuck Palahniuk in Fight Club, and it was like,
it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
So there was definitely a massive liberation being at bankrupt, rock bottom. I was like, hey, I'm young. I'm young in spirit and relatively young in age, depending who's commenting or whose perspective. But there was a magic in that. You're free to do what you want to a degree, and you can go out there and reinvent yourself. And now I'm looking to try and reinvent yourself all the time without having to fail. So now I saw that and I went through that. I'm like, I had to fail and suffer so much to reinvent myself and get on path. Hey, maybe I've got to be a bit smarter about it and really evaluate who I am. What are my goals weekly, maybe even daily? So that's where I am today. And hopefully I've had that suffering to maybe help some of you guys. At least if you do hit, obviously avoid going under and breakups and everything. But if you do hit them, embrace them. This is an exciting time. It's not a time to get sad, down and out, which is easy to say now. There will be a crash. You will have an emotional crash. It doesn't happen overnight. Even you can't just watch this video and go, oh, those emotions are gone. There will be a healing process or a grieving process. But if you can steer your way out of that a little bit quicker and you can launch into something magical and you can really use this to define who you are, what's your personality, who are you when it gets tough, what are your skills, what are your traits, how do you want to live your life, and this is where the magic happens. So hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe send it to anyone going through a tough time. As I said, don't send it to them if they want empathy, because I am excited for them.